Well, Frank, it is my favorite time of the year. No, I don't like the holidays, but you know what I love? Rivalry week for college football. And we have two really good games. I remember in the beginning of the season, we thought Florida State was going to be a horrible game, but now it may be competitive, especially with Florida coming off a huge win dominating Ole Miss.
Well, you're right about that. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way, Alessandra. I know you love them. It is a big time for Florida because they're playing better. It took a long time for Florida to find this, but they found something. They've beaten LSU. They now beat a very good Ole Miss team. All the people that hated Billy Napier don't hate him as much anymore. They found something. They're playing with an energy. DJ Lagway's changed that team. Everything's different. I think the defensive guys play better when he's around. I think the band plays better when he's around. He's made everybody better, and Florida has some confidence now. If they win this game, they finish 7-5 against the toughest schedule maybe of all time, and with a little streak at the end. So Florida has found something. They feel very good about where they are right now. No, and they should. They've earned that.
Well, Florida State is coming off their second victory of the season. And yes, it may be against Charleston Southern, but at least it's the second win of the season for them. You know what I love about Rivalry Week? It doesn't really matter about the records of the teams. You're going to get the best competition from both teams when they step on the field Saturday.
Well, no question. And there's a lot of storylines here. First, for Florida, they've been playing very well as the underdog. Nobody thought they could win any of these games, Georgia, Tennessee, Texas, and they wound up finding a way to compete in some of those games. And then they found a way to beat LSU and Ole Miss. But they've had the chip on their shoulder the whole time, Alessandra, because nobody thought they were going to win any of those games. Well, now they're the favorite. Now they're the hunted. How do they play with success? That's the big challenge for Florida. Meanwhile, FSU's got nothing to lose. The bottom line for the Noles is it's a lost season. It's a terrible season. It's one of the worst seasons in school history. They all know that. But you can salvage a little something by winning your last two games and ruining your rival Cinderella story. So there's a lot to play for the Seminoles as well. It's going to be a fun game. The nation's not watching, but around here, we'll all be watching.
And in Athens, the Georgia Bulldogs, they've already secured their spot in the SEC championship next week. But this week, they got their rival, the Georgia Tech. What do you like about this game? This is going to be played on Friday night in Athens.
Friday night in Athens. I think it's a little bit sticky for Georgia. I think Georgia's going to beat Georgia Tech, but Georgia Tech loves to run the football. They're a physical football team. It's by far the biggest game of the year. It's not the biggest game of the year for Georgia, but it's darn sure the biggest game of the year for Georgia Tech. I think Georgia Tech hangs around. I think Georgia's going to beat them. I think Georgia, I've been saying it all year to Alessandra, I think they got the best team in the country. But I think Georgia Tech hangs around for a while. It's going to be odd seeing that game on a Friday night, isn't it? But I'm glad it is because it'll have no competition. It'll be fun watching Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech hangs around in that game. Keep an eye on that. But the Bulldogs will win the game.
I can't believe it's already the season finale for the college football season. While Florida State will end their season this Saturday, Florida, Georgia obviously will continue. But I have to ask, I want to put you on the spot. Now with one season complete, and now we're heading into the postseason, who do you think has the best chance to win it all?
Yeah, I think we know the 12 teams now. I think it's going to be, barring upsets, Alessandra, it's going to be the 4 teams from the Big Ten. It's going to be 3 teams from the SEC. It's hard to go against Oregon and Ohio State. They're probably the 2 best teams, but I'd keep an eye on those Bulldogs. I think Georgia, until Georgia won 2 of the last 3. Last year, they lost to Alabama and didn't get a chance to play for it. I think if they'd have made it in last year, they'd have won it again. I still think until somebody topples Georgia and knocks them out, I think they're in. And it helps them a little bit. Now that they're back in the championship game, they get a little bit of a tune-up. I think Georgia's got the best team in the country. Apologies to Oregon and Ohio State, but I think Georgia has the best team. I think Georgia, Texas, and Tennessee will all be in from the SEC. Now, look, we'll talk next week about the SEC championship game, and Texas A&M could mess all that up because if they beat Texas, they're in the championship game. But I think it's going to be Georgia and Texas in the championship game, and I think they're both going to be in the playoffs.
Well, you're making some Bulldogs fans very happy, and maybe some Gators fans not too happy to hear that their rival may win it all. Frank, thank you so much, and I can't wait to speak to you next week when we look forward to the conference championships and exactly who may get into that top 12 team. But Frank, thank you so much, and thank you for watching Campus Corner.